everyone, welcome to the Essex Sport Facebook Live page. My name is Arlene. I'm going to have a 30-minute Hatha yoga session today, so welcome. Before we begin, if you just make sure you've got plenty of space to move your arms around comfortably and make sure your surface that you're practicing on isn't too slippery, and it might be nice to have a yoga mat and some water nearby, and you're encouraged to just work at the range that feels comfortable for you. So just do movements that feel right for your body today. Okay, great. So if you want to start by laying back on your mat and just get to a comfortable position, so just find anything you need to feel comfortable. If you want to find a jumper or cushions, and just check in. Try out a few different positions. So maybe you like having your knees bent, your feet on the floor, and you can vary how much space you like there. Or you might like having your legs straight. And sometimes it's nice to turn your toes a bit out to the side and your heels in the center, and have your arms just a few inches out to the side of your hips, with your palms facing up. But do what feels right for you. If it's more comfortable to place your hands on your belly, or so just check in. Take this time to just be in this moment and notice how you feel, and observe if you'd like to make any little adjustments to feel 5% or 10% more comfortable. And just begin to observe the sensations of your body. So just notice now in this moment the temperature of your skin. Notice the space surrounding you. And notice when you inhale the temperature of the air and where it enters. And when you exhale, the temperature of the air, maybe it's warmer or different. And with each inhalation, just observe the rise of your body, and maybe without effort, you begin to feel the breath begin to be a little bit longer. And your exhalation, let it also be without effort. Let it release. And just take a moment again to ground with your breath. You can feel the rise. It might start to feel longer and slower. And maybe there's movements near your belly, your rib cage, and your chest as you inhale. And when you exhale, notice the parts that move. Perhaps the breath descends from chest to rib cage to belly. And just continue to connect with your breath. You can feel how your breath awareness allows it to slow down, to feel longer, and to create space to help relax your body, relax your heart rate. And just notice in the postures you do, if you feel tension arise, you might come to your breath. How can you move to relax your breath in your body? So when you're ready, just very slowly start to reconnect with your physical body. You can move your joints or turn your head slowly side to side. And just slowly begin to awaken your body. Just gentle movements now. And when it feels right, you can bend your knees and place your feet on the floor. You might open your arms a bit out to the side, kind of in a low V or a T, and adjust to feel comfortable in your shoulders, your chest. And just take a moment to notice where you connect with the ground, the places of your feet, your hips, parts of your legs perhaps, your shoulders, your arms, the back of your head, and just feel even support with the ground below. Good. And then we'll very slowly just start to sway our knees gently side to side. So that can be a really small range if that feels comfortable for your body, particularly if you have any lower back issues. It might become a little bit larger with your knees coming in the direction of the floor, but just do that in the range that feels nice. If it occurs, or if any tension arises in your back, you might make your feet a bit wider or have your feet a little bit further away from your body. So just do the gentle movements of knees side to side, like a windshield wiper on a car, at your own pace. And if the range is becoming larger, you might feel a little sensation on the front of one thigh than the other, for the knee that's coming towards the center of your body. Just check in and notice how that feels. And is there movement in your upper body? Maybe you can feel sensations on your sides, your lower back. Good. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to the stillness, and just place your feet next to each other and relax your arms either side of your hips so your palms are facing down. And we'll just notice the breath again. So as you inhale, you might gently tilt your hips up, and notice that draws your navel inward. And then as you exhale, you can relax your tailbone, and it almost tips down, so your belly starts to rise up to the ceiling. So just do that twice more at your own pace. Inhale as an option, move with your breath, tailbone tips up. As you exhale, tailbone tips down, belly rises. So just one more round at your own pace, and maybe through that movement of your hips tilting upwards, you might feel kind of a release further up your spine to your shoulder blades or even the back of your neck. Good, so in the next round, we're going to just slowly lift our hips up. Good, so when you inhale, tilt your hips up, lift as high as feels comfortable, and you might feel your knees start to lengthen in front of you towards your feet. And then as you exhale, just very slowly massage each vertebrae down and relax into the mat. So do this twice more, again at your own pace. You don't have to lift too high, it's just a little awakening for your spine. So lift as high as feels comfortable. If it creates any tension, maybe the hip tilts is preferable. Good, we'll do one more round, drawing our navel inward, floating upwards. Good, and then relaxing down. Okay, so in the next round, if it's comfortable, lift up to your bridge again, a low bridge, so your bottom's not too far away from the floor. And then as an option, lift your right heel off the floor, or one heel off the floor, so the weight's in the other foot. And you might start to lift your whole foot away from the ground. So just see how that feels. And then we'll just come to lower again and do the other side. So weight shifts to your right leg as weight bearing, left heel lifts, maybe stay there, or you might start to lift to your toes or lift your full foot off the ground. Good, and we'll do another 2 rounds of this. Again, just come into that as much as feels comfortable. If you feel any tension build, come back down, and maybe the hip tilts would be preferable or more comfortable. Just do that at the range or the pace that feels comfortable, so there's no pressure to lift your foot fully off the floor. Just see what feels right for you today. Good, so after you finish on your second leg, just very slowly massage each vertebrae down, one at a time. And you might feel a lot of awareness of your lower back. So we'll bring our knees to our chest and hold shins here, and just a few options. You might bring your forehead up towards your knee if that's comfortable. You can also start to rock a little bit side to side with your upper body relaxing on the floor. And you can even imagine that your knees have little pencils and you're drawing circles on the ceiling with your knees in either direction. So just see how that feels for you. Good. And then we'll come back to a stillness here. And we'll practice a little happy baby pose. So a lot of options for happy baby pose. You can draw your thighs to your chest and then flex your feet so your knees stay bent and the bottoms of your feet come up towards the ceiling. And you can stay here with your feet about hip width and your hands anywhere they're comfortable, behind your thighs or your front of your legs or your toes. And just find a rocking side to side that feels comfortable. And you can make that more playful by extending one leg out at a time. So just come to that sense like a child exploring, or a baby exploring their limbs into space. So just playful and organic, what feels nice to awaken your lower back. Good. And then when you're ready, we'll come to a stillness, and you can either roll to one side or just rock up from here, and then come up to all fours on your hands and knees. Good, so from all fours, just come to feel your hands about the width of your shoulders and your knees about the width of your hips. Good, and you can start to walk your hands a little bit further forward towards the front of the mat. And we'll start to practice extended child's pose. So gently bring your bottom to your heels. You can stay at any elevation with your upper body, but maybe start to bring your forehead towards the mat. You can rest it on the ground if that's more comfortable. And just make adjustments to your arms, feel comfortable here. So just start to feel the sensation of the ground below. So you can relax through your touching points, your hands, your shins, your feet. Good, and maybe there's a little release along your lower back or your hips or your bottom. Okay, so one more breath here. We'll slowly uncurl our spine and gently rise back up. And you can keep your hands a little bit further away if that's comfortable. But on the floor, walk your hands over to the right side. So just as much as feels comfortable. So if you think if you were creating a right angle between your upper body and your knee, you just kind of walk your hands over to about 15, 30, 20, 45 degrees at maximum. And then slowly start to bring your bottom down. Again, your hands can be farther apart, about shoulder width, or towards each other. Just see what's more comfortable for your shoulders. And again, you can keep perhaps your head away from the floor, or maybe start to rest it down on the ground You're welcome to use any cushions or folded up towels or blankets to rest your forehead on. So just see what things make this posture comfortable for you. Good. And maybe you start to feel along the side of your body and your lower back and the outside edge of your hip. A little bit of release on the left side if you've walked your hands towards the right. Good. And then we'll slowly start to uncurl, come back up. Good. Walk your hands through center and just do the other side. So walk your hands, maybe it's to the left side or the opposite side, and that little bit of a angle, and then very slowly bringing your bottom down. And again, just rest, adjust. So just check in, listen to your body. Is there tension in your arms? Would you like to vary the space between your arms? Do you want your hands closer to your body or further away? And just notice, how can you make yourself comfortable in the posture? Good. One more breath here. Just letting go through the whole side of your body. And then we'll slowly come back up. Walk your hands back. Good. And we'll come to all fours again. And if you tuck your toes under, bring your bottom to your heels. And then just with lightness, slowly start to lift your tailbone up and your sitting bones up. And you can come to downward facing dog. And just make this your own. So you might start to bend one knee at a time. You can turn your head side to side. Good. You might also lift your heels off the floor and bend your knees with your heels elevated and lower down. But just think about keeping a long lower back and spine. And you're also welcome to start to bring a little flying dog into this if that feels nice, by lifting one leg up at a time. And you can vary that by lifting your leg, bending your knee towards your stomach or your navel, and then lengthening your heel away again. So just explore that at your own pace. You can even turn your head side to side. If this begins to feel intense, you might practice extended child's pose as an alternative, which creates a nice length in your spine as well. So we'll just play with that downward facing dog for a few breaths and maybe bringing movement to that. Good. So a few more breaths here in down dog or extended child's pose. And when you're ready, we'll start to transition to a forward folded position. So if you walk your hands towards your feet or feet to hands, you can come up through all fours if you're in child's pose and walk your hands forward. And just notice where your forward fold feels comfortable. So one option is to bend your knees and rest your forearms here. So you can notice how that creates a nice long spine, and the bend in your knees lets you fold here in the hip space. So you're gonna feel a nice connection with your legs. But make that your own. So rest your hands wherever they're comfortable, on your legs or towards the floor. And just take a moment to notice where the weight is in your feet. Good, so one more breath here. And when you're ready, let's come up to standing, so you can draw your navel inward, slowly then fold your spine up to standing, head up last. Good, just a nice little awakening for our lower back. You can give your shoulders a little shrug when you're upright. Good, and we'll come to stand in a hip width stance. So the sides of your feet about where the sides of your hips are. Define that. If you're not sure, you can have your feet together, shift the weight to your heels, turn your toes out to the side, and shift the weight to the balls of your feet, pivot on the balls of your feet. So you can bring your heels out to the side. So that's about hip width stance. Okay. So now imagine that your feet are in cement and they're not going to move, but it's a nice cement that feels kind of cool on your feet. Good. And just start to notice the alignment of your shoulders over your hips, your head just nestled on top of your spine, and then your arms just resting by your side. Good, so your feet staying as they are, but imagine you're trying to draw just your heels inwards towards each other, and just notice how that feels. If it's comfortable, hold that engagement, but without bringing any tension to your knees. You can have a little bend there. So maintain that drawing inwards of your heels, but slowly start to turn your palms forward, so your thumbs are coming out to the side, and just notice how that feels. Come into the range that feels comfortable. If you want more, you can imagine your thumbs are starting to turn further behind you. So just explore that range and notice how that feels in your chest. Does it create more space? Good, and then we'll gently relax our arms forward, and you can give everything a little shake again. Good, so just feel how that might have changed the stance of your body. Good, and then when you're ready, we'll practice mountain pose next. So if you stand your feet next to each other, think about connecting with the ground through the soles of your feet, and almost a sense of lifting your top of your head upwards. Good, so shift the weight over to your to one leg, maybe it's your left leg, and then bend the opposite knee. For me, it's my right. You can turn your knee out to the side and place the sole of your foot inside your ankle. And we'll just come to our tree pose. So just come into that at your own pace. You might rest your hands on your hips. You might bring your foot higher along your standing leg, the sole of your foot. You can bring it up towards at the top of your thigh.
Just see where that's comfortable for you. Anywhere that feels right. Maybe your toes come to the floor. And hands can stay on your hips, but just transition to them to wherever that's comfortable, in front of your breastbone, overhead or out to the side. And just take a few moments to connect to the ground, but feel almost a growth of your spine, like a tree rising up towards the sun. Okay, so one more round of breath here. Lovely. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly come out of our tree pose. Bring your knee forward again. Relax, and you can give everything a little shake. Another option is to lift your knee and rotate your thigh out to the side, and just do that on the other side. Another round each leg. Okay, great. So we'll come back to our mountain pose and just check in and think about when you're drawing your heels towards each other, what happens. So you might do that a little bit. Draw your heels towards each other, turn your thumbs out to the side, and just notice how that might feel in your body. Then we'll do our tree on the other leg. So for me, I'll shift the weight to my right leg and bend my left knee, and turn your knee out to the side. Slowly place the bottom of your foot inside your ankle, toes brushing the floor, hands on your hips, and just come through the same options on the other side at your own pace. So no pressure to be at a certain point. Just notice where it's comfortable to practice your tree pose, and you can bring your toes down to the floor at any time. Maybe you're near a wall, you can place your hand on a wall or the back of a chair. Good. So one more round of breath here. Lovely. And when you're ready, let's very slowly bring our hands down, knee forward, and you can give everything a little shake again. Okay, great, lovely. So next we'll practice a wider stance. So you're welcome to turn your mat or turn in the direction that feels comfortable. If you turn your right toes out to the side and your left toes are forward, and just place your hands on your hips, and you can take a few bends of your knees. So just check in with how that feels and where's your knee tracking. Hopefully a little adjustments will allow your knee to track to the center of your foot, and you can make more space between your legs or less space if that's more comfortable. Good, so the next bend, we'll keep our knee bent. Perhaps your knees above your ankle, shoulders above your hips. We'll bring our arms out into a T. And turn your palms to face forward by rotating through your shoulders, and feel that connection between your hands. We'll come to triangle pose next, so very slowly start to hinge forward, like your right fingers or the hand that's closest to your bent knee. Start to reach forward and almost towards the floor. So maybe this is where you'd like to practice your triangle pose. If it feels intense, you can support your body by bending your forearm, your elbow, and resting your forearm on your thigh. Notice where you'd like to turn your head, and come into that as much as feels comfortable. If you want to come deeper into it, maybe your fingertips come to the floor, and maybe you start to straighten your leg. And just notice where that's comfortable. Good, see where it's comfortable to turn your gaze. One more breath here. Lovely. Then we'll reach our upper arm up, the arm that's near the ceiling, hinge back up. Good. And then we'll bend our knee, coming through a warrior two for a moment. And then relax your arms down, straighten your legs, turn your both toes to face forward, and you can give your hips a little circle if you feel any tension, but we'll set up for the other side. So just turn the opposite leg out to the side. For me, it's my left. Take a few bends of your knees, maybe having your hands on your hips, and just check in. Where is your knee tracking? Is it comfortable? What placement of your heel feels comfortable? Do you want more space between your legs or less space between your legs? Good. And then on the next one, we'll keep our knee bent. Knees above your ankle, knee towards the center of your foot. Little adjustments to find that connection. Arms float up to that T. Rotate through your shoulders when it feels comfortable. Palms forward, and lead with your fingers towards the floor. And just stop again at any point. Same options here. Where would you like to practice your triangle pose or Trikonasana? So come into that as much as feels comfortable for you. No pressure to be at a certain point. And if it starts to feel deep, you can take any of your options. Good, so one more round of breath here. Lovely. And then your arm that's extended up away from you, you can start to reach it. It's almost drawing you upwards. Good. Turn your palms down. Little warrior two. Good. And then start to relax your arms. You can turn both toes to face forward, and you might shorten your stance or widen your stance. Just make it comfortable for you. Place your hands on your hips, and you can start to gently gaze upwards. If it's comfortable, you might bring your arms behind you and place your elbows out to the side with your hands resting on your lower back, or you might interlace your fingers behind you and start to lengthen your knuckles towards the floor by rotating through your shoulders. So just see where that's comfortable behind your lower back. So there's almost an upward lift of your breastbone or your sternum. Good, and just notice how that feels. So be kind to the sides of your neck. Good. One more breath here. Lovely. So option to keep arms as they are. Adjust if it's uncomfortable. Just bring your head upright or your upper body long. And then we'll come to a wide leg forward folded position. So keep a long spine. You might have your chin tuck in a little bit. And just stop wherever that's comfortable. So there's no pressure to come deeply forward. So you might stop with your chest higher, parallel to the ground. Or if you want to come into that deeper, you might start to bring the top of your head in the direction of the floor. But there's no pressure to do so. Good, so just come into that at the range that feels comfortable for you. We'll just stay in our wide leg forward fold for a few breaths. Check in if you feel like there's space behind your knees, which is a nice way to protect your joints. You can have a little micro bend in your knees. And imagine your sitting bones are lengthening up. Good, so one more breath here. Lovely. And if you relax hold of your fingers, if your hands are behind you, just place your hands on the floor and then gently bend your knees. Good, and we'll come to another child's pose with a little variation. So if you bring your bottom to your heels, and then you can slowly bring your upper body down. You can bring any cushions to rest. If you can find something to rest your forehead on. You might start to, if it can be the floor or some pillows, you might start to transition your arms behind you. So similar to when we were standing just a moment ago in our wide leg forward fold. You can interlace your fingers. You might start to lengthen your knuckles away, or you can extend your straight arms up towards the ceiling. So just come into that as much as feels comfortable for you. Just notice what feels appropriate for your body. And just stay there for a few breaths, starting to let go through your lower back. Good. And just start to feel any sense of release. Good. 2 more breaths here. Lovely. And then when you're ready, you can place your hands on the floor. Very slowly start to uncurl your spine. Good. You can give a few shoulder shrugs if that's comfortable. Okay. So we're going to sit on the ground with our legs in a narrow straddle position. So just see where that's comfortable for you. If that creates any tension in your ankles, you're welcome to kind of roll up a towel, and you can place the rolled up towel underneath your ankles on either side. Okay, so keep one leg straight. I'm going to keep my left leg straight. And then bend the other knee. So your knee comes out to the side and the bottom of your foot rests on your inner thigh. Good, so ideally your shoulders feel over your hips, so you can make little adjustments. You might bend your straight leg so you can lean back and feel that length in your spine, or you can sit up on a block, and that elevation helps to create that alignment as well. So come into that as much as feels comfortable for you. So we'll place our hands either side of the bent knee. So my hands are either side of my right knee, and just think about connecting through your sitting bones on the ground and lengthen the top of your head up. Your straight leg, even if with a bend in your knee, you might have your foot flex, so your knees up to the ceiling and your toes as well. Good, so long spine here. Inhale. As you exhale, slowly start to rotate from your waist towards the side that your bent knee is on. So for me, that's my right side. And you can turn your head a little bit to look over your shoulder. If you want to come into that deeper, you can take your, for me, my left hand comes to my right knee. So your opposite arm comes to your bent knee and hold onto the outside edge. And maybe you come deeper into that rotation. The hand that's behind you, you can walk it further behind you if you want to come into that deeper for support. But think about keeping that long spine so we can feel that nice rotation. Again, come into this as much as feels comfortable, so no pressure. And another option is, if you're turning your head to look over your shoulder, you might add an additional rotation. So you might to look your eyes the opposite direction, so almost like your eyes are looking forward. Good, so one more breath here. So stay with that rotation. You might make it slightly more shallow. And the arm that's behind you, bring it up overhead. So for me, I'm bringing my right arm up overhead and turning my palm to face forward. So my body is going to stay turned towards my bent knee, but I'm going to start to take a little side bend. So just do that as much as feels comfortable for you. So at maximum, you might bring your fingertips towards your toes of your extended leg, but there's no pressure to come into that. So just come into that as much as feels appropriate for you. And you might start to feel a little release on the outside edge of your hip, your rib cage. Turn your head wherever that's comfortable to avoid tension in your body. Good. So one more breath here. Lovely. And when you're ready, slowly start to reach your arm up to the ceiling. Hands either side of your knee. Rotate forward. And just take a moment to straighten your legs. You can give your legs a little shake, or you might start to turn your toes inward and outward if you feel any, like you try to create a release on your inside of your hips. Good, and then we'll set up for the other side when you're ready. So the opposite leg, for me it's my right, will stay straight, other knee bends, for me that's my left, sitting up nice and tall. Just notice what you need to feel comfortable here. Good, hands either side of my bent knee, inhale, sitting up, long spine, exhale, slowly starting to rotate from my waist. Where would I like to turn my head? Maybe I come into that deeper by bringing my hand on the outside edge of my bent knee. You can turn to look behind me over my shoulder, an option to turn your eyes in the opposite direction, almost to the front. Good, so just see, where is that comfortable? Come into it as much as feels comfortable. And do you start to feel a release? Where is that release arising? Your lower back, your hips, your rib cage. Good, so we'll stay facing to the side. Maybe I'll make it a little less steep, so you're rotating more towards your bent knee, and then gently bring the arm behind you. For me that's my left, up to the ceiling, and you can start to take a little side bend again. So place the hand that's across your body wherever that's comfortable, so you can rest it on the floor in front of you if that's more comfortable, or place it on your inner leg of your straight leg, the inner thigh of your straight leg. Good, so just again, where is that comfortable? Any tension arising in your neck? Turn your head side to side. Good. One more breath here. Lovely. And then when you're ready, slowly uncurl, unfold. Good. And you can straighten your legs again, lean back a little, and start to just at your own pace rotate your toes inward and outward. And you can do that quite slowly or fast, just to create a little release through your lower back. Okay, lovely. So we're going to come to lay on our back again with our knees bent. And as you do so, just relax your head in the center of your body, relax your shoulders evenly. And we'll lift one foot off the floor, then the other. Flex your feet. You can hold your shins and just draw your thighs towards your stomach as much as feels comfortable. Good, then we're going to hold the back of our legs, so just wherever that's comfortable. It might be the back of your thighs or the back of your calf muscles. And just feel your legs about the width of your hips and start to lengthen your heels away from you. So it doesn't matter where your legs are, just so that they lengthen away from you comfortably. If you do feel any tension arise in your lower back, you can either place a towel or maybe your hands underneath your tailbone. Good, so just do that at the range that feels comfortable for you, and just notice that sensation of your heels lengthening away from you. If that feels a bit static, flexing your heels, you can start to point and flex your toes, your feet alternatively, or you might bring a little circling of your ankles. So just notice what feels comfortable for you. Lovely. Good. And then we'll bring our knees to our chest again. Hold your thighs, draw your thighs to your chest. Option to bring your forehead up towards your knee. Good, then relax your upper body down. Place one foot on the floor. So I'm going to press my left foot on the floor, and the knee that's bent with my thigh towards my chest, I'm going to start to rotate the thigh in the hip socket. So imagine you have a little pencil on your knee, and you're drawing circles, and that can be in either direction. So just see the range that feels comfortable, and just notice, is it a perfect circle? Is it kind of elliptical? Just observe the range of your body. Good, and then we'll do the other side. So just swapping in the center, foot on the floor, other knee, draw your thigh to your chest, and then start to rotate your thigh in the hip socket, and go in either direction. So see where that's comfortable. Where would you like to support your leg, your thigh, or your shin maybe? And how does that feel in your lower back or your hip space? Okay, great. And then we'll come to a stillness again, and just checking with how your back feels. Place your feet next to each other, tilt your hips up, slowly lift up to your bridge, checking with how that feels. And maybe we start to lift one foot off the floor, then the other. And you can do that another round, just lengthening a leg is an option. Good. And then we'll come back to the center, slowly exhale one vertebrae down at a time. Knees to your chest again, hold your shins, option to bring forehead towards your knees. Good, and relax down, arms out to the side, knees bent, little sway of your knees side to side. Good, and then just come now to a comfortable position to just get into touch with your body, to scan and notice how you feel. And just notice now the inhalation, where it rises, the exhalation, where it releases. And just take notice of your body now after your practice of yoga. Have you created any changes?
in the feel of your muscles, the temperature of your skin, the flow of your breath. And just notice without judgment here, the rise and fall of your belly, your rib cage, your chest. When you exhale, the support of the ground below you. You can take a few moments now to turn inward and relax. Just stay here for a few more moments if you have time or if you're comfortable doing so. And when it feels right, you can reconnect with your body, maybe touching your fingers together or rubbing any parts of your body, or rubbing your hands together and placing your warm hands on your eyes or any part of your body that feels comfortable. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Feel free to stay in your relaxation longer. And thank you for honoring yourself with your practice of yoga today. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And any questions, feel free to send over a message to Essex Board, or check out our other videos on the Facebook page or on YouTube.